Well, Razorback fans, that sucked.
You are Locked On Razorbacks, your daily podcast on the Arkansas Razorbacks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome into Locked On Razorbacks podcast. I am your host, John Nabors. I am also the host of Inside Arkansas Live, which you can catch every weekday afternoon starting at noon on Inside Arkansas and InsideArkansas.com. Man. You know, I wish I could sit here and be excited and energized and be coming to you and discussing a huge win for the Razorbacks to advance to the Elite Eight. I wish I could sit here and tell you that they didn't lose the game. I wish I could sit here and tell you that they didn't lose the game by blowing a large lead. I wish I could sit here and tell you that they didn't lose the game, even though they were the better team. I really wish I could say all of that to you, but I can't. Because Arkansas lost this game in overtime to Texas Tech by a final score of 85-83. And it's one of these things. I've been trying to gather words, which can be pretty important whenever you do a podcast, but I have none. I think every Razorback fan has gone through some hurt, and I think that they've always had ones that have stung. And considering I'm recording this podcast at midnight Pacific time, so a lot of you are going to be waking up to this, it's still a very fresh wound that I have suffered. And I know a lot of Hog fans have suffered. You know, I couldn't believe it, but then I could believe it, and the way that it all went down. Arkansas was just in full control of this game. They had a 16-point lead midway point of the second half, a double-digit lead late in the game. And they had done so many great things and so many things right against Texas Tech to where maybe I made a mistake. Maybe I'm the one that made a mistake in this because as a Razorback fan, I know that there's certain elements and there's certain times where you just never feel comfortable. I felt comfortable. I felt good. I felt good about the spot that Arkansas was in. And as the second half went on, I continued to feel good about it. I still felt like Arkansas was going to win the game all the way up until the point that Texas Tech tied it. And on that three, I felt like Arkansas was going to win. I felt like they were going to take care of business because of how well they were playing, how awesome Nelly was, how Karter Knox really performed well, how great of a job they did defensively, how they held the 3-point shooting, which we talked about how important that was. They held the 3-point shooting to 25% for Texas Tech. Arkansas shot significantly more free throws. They made 19 of 22 compared to Texas A&M's 9 of 11. Arkansas turned the ball over 10 times compared to the 8. It's just unreal. It's almost a perfect example and a perfect little bow that you can tie on the year for how this year has gone. They were playing their best and they played as good as you could ask. And a lot of times this season and late this season. But it just to see it end like this, the way it ended, it's just, it hurts. I don't think there's any way to put it. And the thing is that, the main deal with Arkansas and losing this game is them blowing a lead. So don't take what I'm about to say as me saying any excuses or anything like that. But it's just, it gives one of those vibes of Arkansas had to do so many things wrong or just a few things wrong at the end that ended up leading to this. It kind of feels like, and I know it's a different magnitude of a game, but to me, it kind of feels like Arkansas and Oklahoma State in football this past season, where Arkansas was the better team. They controlled the game. They controlled everything. They were the obviously, and you could tell on the field, on the court, the better team, but they blew the lead because of just the things that went wrong, just the little things that went wrong that added up, where it's almost like you had to try. You really had to try to lose this game. I think back to just the small things like the Billy Richmond turnover where the ball just kind of flew out of his hand and up in the air. I think back to Jonas Adu missing the front end of the 1-and-1 free throw. I think back to, the I think it was a 3-pointer taken by Nelly that was rebounded by DJ Wagner late in the game. And instead of just milking the clock a little bit, he fires up another three with about 19 seconds left on the shot clock. I just think about all these little things that added up at the end. And to see, it's just the disbelief that I'm in. Arkansas went 10 of 25 from three-point line. That's 40%. I saw a possession that Arkansas gave up 6 offensive rebounds. And to me, that's when really things started getting a little bit haywire. Texas Tech had 22 offensive rebounds in this game. 22 offensive rebounds, 16 second chance points. Should have been more than that, to be honest. But it's just, it's almost unexplainable. It's almost unexplainable to think about just how this team lost this game. And I know that things happen in the tournament. We talk about it's a crapshoot. It's you roll the dice and see what happens. But I just never would have dreamed that we would see with the way that the team has been playing here recently to see the team lose in this fashion. I mean, Texas Tech, give them credit for making plays, but they're not a great basketball team. I mean, they weren't the better team. You just gave it to them. You just gave it to them all they want. You can say it's sour grapes or whatever, but it's the truth. You let them get back into it because of just bad mistakes. You gave them those opportunities. And it's just the biggest head scratcher in the world to be seeing this box score at the end of the day and like, what? You should have fouled up when you're up 3. You should have fouled, especially against a team like Texas Tech. Cal should have called a timeout there at the end, and you had one. There's just so many things that Arkansas should have done, and they just didn't. And that's why they lost. You cannot do the things that you did in this tournament, in the Sweet 16, and just expect to win. You just can't do it. And I feel sorry for a lot of people in this. I was in there in the locker room after the game. And I'll be honest, I know that you record and talk to players and whatnot after wins and losses in the NCAA tournament. Like, well, in Inside Arkansas, we were doing that. And I walked in there and I talked to a few players, and I didn't want to, man. I just didn't want to. It was a very short video. And I saw how devastated they were. How much it hurt them. Every one of them. And you can sit here and get mad at any particular player, but you don't need to, folks. This was a group effort of how this game was lost. But I think the thing that's, kind of the frustrating deal is I get out of the locker room after seeing all those guys just so devastated. And I'm posting the video on social media, and all I see is just people celebrating like it was the greatest thing ever. Like they don't care. They don't care. They just, these people that love to hate on Arkansas and Cal. It's like you don't even see those players and how much it means to them. But I'm glad you guys got your rocks off to it. Congratulations. But I just still am trying to process it all. And talking to Razorback fans, I also feel sorry for all of you that made the trip out here. It's not to say that you wasted your time, because you didn't. It's just to see it end that way. To see the season in that way. It's tough, man. The 16-point lead. Seeing that stat at halftime that they threw out, where Cal was 35-0 in NCAA tournament games, where he had a 6-point or better lead at halftime. I think that was almost a bad omen. I tweeted that out because I was like, the broadcast said this, and people were blaming me. I was like, don't blame me, blame the broadcast. They're the ones that brought it up. But this hurts, man. This one stings. This one sucks. This is definitely the worst NCAA tournament loss as far as the pain from it that I've ever experienced. You know, when you lost to UConn the other a few years ago, it sucked, but it was like, they were just a better team. Lost to Duke, and it sucked, but they were just a better team. Lost to Baylor, and it sucked. They just a better team. When you lost to North Carolina, and it sucked. It was just a better team. But when you lose to Texas Tech, even though they were a 3 seed and you were a 10, you were the better team. You showed it, you proved it, you had it, and you just let it slip away. I heard for you, Hog fans. I know it's tough for everybody right now, and I'm sure I'll feel differently after I get a good night's sleep, hopefully, and reflect on it a little bit. I haven't eaten today, and I'm definitely not going to eat now. So maybe I'll feel a little bit differently once all those things change. But I just, uh, I just hate it. I hate this feeling, and I hate seeing it and experiencing it, and then just the vibes of it all was just really brutal. But does this game change the season, though? We talked yesterday or 2 days ago, I guess. Is it a successful season regardless? Does this game and the way they ended it change the season? Well, may have to talk about it. So stay with us here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. All right, Razorback fans, I'm here to tell you about our friends over at Monarch Money. Ever checking your bank account and wonder, where'd all my money go? Well, between the dining out, the online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control of over all of your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending all in one place. So you just stop just managing your money and you start building your wealth. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check all your finances, to track all your spending, and even plan long term goals. Managing money with your partner is smoother than ever, and you can track shared personal accounts as well as set goals and stay on the same page when it comes to those stressful times. You just don't have to stress. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for 50%. That's half off your first year. All right, so moving on into the next segment of the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. Does this a loss in the NCAA tournament, does it change the season? You're probably thinking that I'm asking a contradictory question, or maybe that I'm playing games here and going back on anything, because we talked about it, and I said this does not change anything if they lost to Texas Tech, because the season was a success. You made it to the Sweet 16. You needed to make it to the second weekend. You did. And regardless of the outcome of Texas Tech, you wanted to win, but it was not going to change whether the success or the failures of the season. And I'm going to be honest, I stand by that. I stand by that comment. And I still believe that this season overall is a success. But there's no doubt that the way it ends, though, leaves the sour taste in your mouth. Both things can be true. You can still call it a successful season, but the way it ends, having that bad taste in your mouth. And I hate to bring up examples of this, but I'm going to. You think about the 2018 College World Series in baseball. If you think about that, which I try not to, I don't know if I'm asking you to, but in the roundabout and in the way, it was a successful season. I mean, you made it to the College World Series finals. That's an incredible feat. It's a thing that only two teams can do. But the way it ended, it changes everything. Changed the way you felt. It changed the way you look at that season. It changes the way that you remember it. And even though everybody would admit that it is a very successful season, when it ends that way, it's got this lasting effect that's the last thing you're going to remember. I kind of feel like it's going to be the same way here. Yes, is a successful season. Yes, you did get to the Sweet 16, which is an awesome feat. Yes, all these things can be true. But having it be that way and be that game and end the way that game did, it's a tough thing to really wrap your head around and try to feel good about the season in general. It's I consider it like Game of Thrones. One of the best shows ever, but the ending sucked. It's the same deal. It's a great season, but the ending sucked. It didn't need to go out like that. It shouldn't have gone out like that. It should have been better. It should have been more relatable. It should have been more exciting. It should have been all these things. You should be in the Elite Eight, but you're not. And so because of that fact, it just stings for even longer. It stings. And you try to hopefully get some things here in the offseason, which we'll talk about the future and moving forward with Arkansas. And then it's either Saturday, maybe I'll do it on Saturday, maybe I'll do it on Monday as far as just a recap of the entire season in general and looking at it. But, it's something that's going to hurt enough to where people are going to bring it up to you. It's one of those memes that all these other idiot fans and these idiot fan bases that are going to bring it up to you because, they just are going to post the box score of what it was and then what it became. And those are the toughest things to deal with. And it's toughest pills to swallow and all of that. I get it. But you still have nothing to be like ashamed of as far as what the year was. You have nothing to be embarrassed about. I mean, that it's a tough thing to have it in that way. I get it, but it's not like you were an embarrassment to the NCAA tournament. It wasn't like you were a team that lost to St. Peter's. You lost to a Texas Tech team that was pretty good, and you blew a lead, and it sucks. But nobody needs to look at this as some sort of long-lasting term of this was the year you had the best team ever and you just blew it. Like it does not need to be viewed that way. It needs to be viewed as, hey, you got to the point that you needed to get to that was really overcoming a lot of obstacles and odds. You did your best, you made it happen, and you just didn't stick the landing. You just didn't. And that's what get judged on. I get it. But it doesn't change my mind about the season and the success. It just puts a little bit of a stain on it. It just puts a little damper on it. Just didn't end the way it should have. But how many seasons do these days? How many teams have the season end the way that they want it to? Not very often. But we'll talk about this offseason in the future for Arkansas and Cal and everything here in a second. So stay with us here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. All right, Razorback fans, listen, we're all about the stats because numbers don't lie. And when it comes to the all-new Nissan Armada Pro 4X, the numbers are on an MVP level. With the ability to tow up to 8,500 pounds, it can quite literally carry the whole team, plus the gear, wherever you need to go. It's powered by a twin-turbo V6 engine, delivering the strength and performance to handle highways, back roads, and everything in between. And also has room up to 8 people. The Armada Pro 4X is built for big crews, big adventures, and even bigger memories. Whether you're exploring off-the-road trails or rolling up to the arena, the Armada Pro 4X brings power, versatility, and style wherever you go. Take your adventures to new heights, and in the all-new Nissan Armada Pro 4X, Learn more at nissanusa.com.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the bracket breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
All right, so moving on into the final segment of the Locked On Razorbacks podcast, the offseason in the future. Here's the deal. With the offseason, you're going to be losing a lot of players. You got Nelly Davis. He's done. He's done with eligibility. Jonas Adu, same thing. He's going to be moving on. But now it's like all the other players essentially have an opportunity to come back if they wanted to, or to hit the portal or whatever it is. But here's kind of the goal that I think it should be. And here's the kind of the thing that needs to be the approach, is that you need to be able to keep some players. I don't want to see a brand new team next year. I don't want to see like one player from the carryovers and you just got a bunch of new guys. Like, I don't want to see that. I want to see guys that stick around, because if you look at some of the best teams in the country and the best teams that are around and win championships and whatnot, they don't do it with just a brand spanking new team. They have people that carry over and that hold over and that they get better. And so, I was thinking about it, and this is not a knock against anybody as far as who I want to keep and who I don't. I'm just saying these are the ones that I would make the priority. I think you need to definitely do whatever you can for Karter Knox, man. That guy was great. Was he great tonight? And he's got so much upside, a swagger to him, confidence, everything. I think you need to do everything you can to keep him around. I'd love to see him. Billy Richmond, I know he struggled at times, but it's like you see that there's a lot of raw potential there. You see that what he could be able to do for just if he can get it going in multiple type of ways, what he could be able to provide for you if he's in the good spot. He's in the good Billy side of things. I'd love to see him back. DJ Wagner is the one where I know he's an older player, be a third-year player next year, but man, I would love to have him back. I absolutely would love to have him back. He would be a guy that would be an experienced player, great guard, one of the guys that could really continue to grow and continue to develop and be there for you for defensively and leadership. I think he's all those qualities. And so I'd love to see him back. And also Trevon Brazile. He's still got a year of eligibility. Some people were surprised to hear that, but he does. I would love to see Trevon Brazile back, and he had a great quote tonight when I was in the locker room, and I just, kind of tugs at your heartstrings. But he was asked by somebody, what does he hope people remember about him and his time as a Hog in the season, which, I still think he could come back. I don't know if he will, but he could. But the thing he said is just, I hope people enjoyed watching me play, which was really, really cool and really good to hear from him. So, I'd love to have him back, though. I mean, if you get all four of those players back, I'd say that's a pretty good start. That's a pretty good core group. We know that Arkansas's got three players coming in on the freshman level, but two of them being extremely good with Malik Thomas as well as Darius Acuff. Those guys are going to be phenomenal. And you got to hit the portal, get you some bigs. I know we don't know what Big Z's going to do. Does he come back? Does he move on? What happens? Somebody like him, I think Boogie Flan moves on. I think Adu Thero moves on personally. We'll see. But I think he kind of continues on his route into that. And I'm trying to think if I'm missing anybody. I think I've pretty much mentioned all the players that have had significant roles on this team. But still, you're going to have to get some bigs, get some portal guys, get some shooters. I know the old cliche stuff. But you're going to have plenty of talent. Like it's Cal, it's Tyson, it's the Chicken Man, it's Money. You're going to have plenty of things going on there. So I'll end on this note with Cal. A lot of you, of course, know about the feelings and people that what have they said about Cal and everything. I feel really good about the future. I do. I feel good about Arkansas and the place that they're in. The fact that they were able to do what they did, considering what they went up against and how poorly it went at times for them to fight and claw and do all those things and then get to this point was really impressive. And so I just feel great about the future. Get some talent, get some guys, get some depth. And it already looks like help is on the way, and they're going to have all the amenities and all the resources to do so. So I feel great about it, man. I feel great about the Hogs and the direction they're going. It sucks right now. I get it. but I feel great about the direction. Could it be a Final Four? Wouldn't surprise me. Could it be a national championship? I could see it. They're going to have talent, man. They're going to have talent. But I know Cal and this team is going to come back with a vengeance next season, and it's going to be awesome. I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to be a part of it. Can't wait to talk about it. And thank you all so much for being a part of it here with Locked On Razorbacks and following each and every day. I know sometimes the timing of it's tough with the scheduling and all of that, but I appreciate you guys locking in and being a part of it each and every time too. It's been awesome. It's been a great ride, and we're going to continue it on. But appreciate each and every one of you listening and watching into the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or on Google Play. You can also get after me on Twitter at John Nabors Show for any questions, comments, concerns that you may have. We'll keep it going from there. Same podcast time, same podcast channel tomorrow afternoon. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. See you then.